Welcome to the monthly U.S. employment market update from the Prosperity for America channel. Today, we're going to continue to rate the opportunity for looking for a new position in the United States as good to very good. The numbers just came in for this past month of April here in 2023, and the unemployment rate in the United States actually dropped from 3.5% to 3.4%. And actually 253,000 new positions were created, which is more than what was expected. So the unemployment rate in our country continues to stay low. And as you look towards the future as to what we might expect, and I just want to remind you that the purpose of providing this information is for those of you that are considering making a job change, that you kind of look at the market conditions and have some up-to-date information as to whether it's a good time to do so. So like I said earlier, this is a good time to look for a new position. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the numbers as to why. Point one, there are 9.6 million jobs in the United States at this moment still being paid and advertised by companies for positions to be filled. Now that's a great number, especially when you consider that the United States only has 5.66 million people unemployed, which means that there's roughly 1.8 jobs available for every person that actually is unemployed. That's a wonderful place for things to be. And actually, more often than not, over the last 75 years, there's usually not more jobs available than unemployed Americans. So that's a very good number that works to the advantage of someone looking for a new position. Now, as we look at other factors that you would want to consider in looking for a new position, I do think that some caution is necessary at all times, but especially as we look at some of the things that are happening. Like, for example, the weekly unemployment filings of claims have risen to 245,000 this past week in early May. The prior 10 to 12 weeks, they were below 225,000 and sometimes hit as low as 193,000. This last 2 weeks, that movement from 220 to 225,000 as kind of the high point has now changed to 245,000. So that does look to be rising, and the amount of layoffs in general in the economy are getting to be more frequent. Although something that is really helping keep the unemployment rate down is that the baby boomers continue to retire at a prolific rate, roughly 10,000 per day. So that means that before a company starts even thinking about layoff, they have to replace 300,000 people that retired before they're actually taking somebody and adding them to the employment rolls. So working to the advantage of making this step towards the economy perhaps changing directions, move slower. And so what you want to do is look as you change jobs for companies that obviously show economic stability. But I also wanted to give you a couple insights into what kind of companies tend to do well during a recession versus those that don't. One of those key factors is companies that both sell for new products and then they also do replacement parts for that part. So I'm going to use an automotive industry example, and that would be, say you have a company that makes brake pads that are bought and put on the new cars as they're made. Obviously, if the economy slows down, there'll be a little less new cars sold, which would lower the amount of employees needed to make them. However, when people decide to buy not buy a new car, they keep their old one, which means they got to fix it. So the downside potential for a company that does both replacement parts and parts for new vehicles, for example, in the automotive industry, that's a good place for them to be, because really, whether there's a recession or a slowdown or a pickup, they're in good shape. So take that kind of logic and apply it to whatever industry that you're looking at considering working in, or if you're changing from one industry to another. And also take into consideration that Something else is still unusual, and that is that more people are looking for changing positions than typical, still in this economy. Traditionally in the economy, 8 to 10% of the American public that's employed is open to a new position. That's reached a high of 22% this past year and now is declining somewhat to 18 or 19% as of the last demographic reading on that subject. So what that means is there's a lot of us still looking for a new position that are currently employed, and there's still 9.6 million jobs being advertised out there. So just to kind of close on a summary note, this is a good time to look for a new position. It's really something that if you've been thinking about changing positions or you feel any uncertainty or instability where you're working, it's certainly something that would be better to consider now while things are pretty good rather than wait until things get rougher, if they do. All right, because right now we still don't know what the end result will be in that sense, and the economy is always in a state of flux. So we're just trying to help you keep up to date on what's actually happening in the marketplace. So whenever you want information on the unemployment market or unemployment market conditions, or maybe you want some key advice on interviewing tips or resume tips, how to make your resume get a better response, come to the Prosperity for America channel. We'd like to help, and we'd love for you to subscribe if you like it. So have a great day. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next month about the current market conditions for May of 2023 after we get a chance to experience them. Have a nice day. Thanks.